I'm not too impressed by these.
No, I don't use those. I don't like them at all. I like the ones that have a flame.
Voila.
Yes. There is a slide about Easter egg hunt.
Okay.
Right, so we need to fill the eggs prior to the hunt. So that slide will come up under news of the community.
All right.
So you can just say, it didn't make it on the back.
Yeah. Right. All right. I'll draw attention to it.
And then, are you doing the logo?
Yes.
And are you doing the thing I tend to do where you run through naming all the people who contributed to our show?
Oh, yes, I am.
So just so you know also, the illustrations for the Time for All Ages today, Flo Flores drew those for us. Those are her original art.
I'll write that down. The illustrations for the story?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
She's not here today, but I would like to acknowledge her anyway. Made original art for us.
Are you ready? I like to go around the edge and make it hum sometimes, but it's sort of unreliable. It's better just to bang it. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. I apologize, I get allergies and my voice will be sort of rough this morning. We're very glad you're here, and whether you're in the sanctuary or online. I am Bob Muir, your celebrant. Arrhiannon and Kirkpatrick will be your homilists. Spencer Wharton, right over here, is going to share some thoughts on stewardship. Lorianne Schmidt is our pianist. Our cantor is my lovely wife, Barbara Stebbins-Bose. She'll lead us in singing hymns. Margaret Gregg, she's around here, I saw her, is going to be our Lifeline's lay minister today. Molly Brown will lead Time for All Ages. Doc Hadley created the slides, and Sarah Pickett is in the back providing technical support. Flo Flores did the illustrations you will see during the story in Time for All Ages. So Flo is doing illustrations for today's story and some other stories, right, as we go on. We'll give her a big thanks, too. We gather this morning as a community of seekers, bearing questions, hungry for wisdom, and hopeful for inspiration to live lives of meaning. We share wonder at life's mysteries, express our gratitude for life's gifts, and grieve together during hardships, and we have some grief this morning. We want to be of service, to give and receive care, and to help each other learn and grow. You are welcome here, just as you are, whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity. And in all ways, you are still becoming the person you will be. Let us prepare for our worship by taking a good, deep breath, remembering that we are here, now in this sacred space, and nowhere else. I'll illustrate what I'm talking about. Now rise in body, in voice, or in spirit as you are able to join in singing our gathering hymn.
Three, there we go. Spring has now unwrapped the flowers. Ah. Spring has now unwrapped the flowers, day is fast reviving, life in all her growing powers, toward the light is striving, gone the iron touch of cold, winter time and frost time, seedlings working through the mold, now make up for lost time. Herb and plant that winter long slumbered at the leisure, now be stirring green and strong, finding growth the pleasure. All the world with beauty fills, gold the green enhancing, flowers make glee among the hills, set the meadows dancing.
I invite you now to join me in reciting together our affirmation. The words are projected on the wall behind me and printed in your order of service. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. Arrhiannon and I will now light 3 chalices of remembrance and gratitude. The first is for this community, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. The second is for the children of this community and for all the children of the world, our future. The final chalice is for our sister congregation, the Unitarian Church in Siemanfalva, Transylvania. Thank you, Arrhiannon. Now, let us sing the flame into life. Oh, yes. Thank you.
We also have 2 memorial candles to light this morning. We light this memorial candle today for UUCS member Larry Nassett, who passed away last Sunday, March 1st. Throughout his final days, his longtime partner Sharon Miller was with him, supported by family. And we will have a memorial service for Larry here on March 29th. And we light a memorial candle for UUCS member Sancha Ali, who also died this week. Sancha was born in 1949. She grew up in this congregation, and she raised her children here alongside her sister, Melissa Dunaway Holland. We don't yet have a date for her memorial service. It will be announced when we do. Let's take another breath together and remember that we hold together grief for those whose presence is no longer among us and whose memory and love we will always cherish.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Hi, my name's. I'm Carrie Lynn Patterson. Molly was supposed to do this, but I thought I'd try. You gonna come sit down, kiddos? Anybody young at heart? We got more kiddos. Gotta push them down the aisle. So this month, our theme is paying attention. Paying attention means noticing things aren't fair and choosing not to look away. On International Women's Day, we remember women who helped the world pay attention to inequality and work to change it. Today's story is about Lucy Stone, a Unitarian ancestor who noticed that women were treated differently from men and decided that unfairness didn't have to stay that way. She didn't ignore that unfairness or assume it couldn't be changed. Instead, she paid attention, asked hard questions, and used her voice to work for justice, not just for women, but for all people. Once, in a small town in Massachusetts, there was a girl named Lucy Stone. Even as a child, Lucy was very good at paying attention. She noticed things other people accepted without question. She noticed that boys were treated one way and girls another. Men had more choices, more power, and more voices, and women were expected to stay quiet. Lucy didn't think that was fair. She made a promise to herself, I will work to change this. Lucy wanted to go to college, which was unusual for women at the time, but she didn't just want an education. She wanted to learn Greek and Hebrew so she could read the Bible in its original languages. Lucy had heard people say that God wanted women to be less than men, and she wanted to decide for herself whether that was really true. In 1847, Lucy Stone graduated from Abilene College, becoming the first woman from Massachusetts to earn a college degree. And she didn't stop there. Lucy used her voice. She traveled across the country giving speeches, sometimes to crowds that didn't want to hear a woman speak at all. She spoke out for women's rights and for the end of slavery, believing deeply that freedom and equality belonged to everyone. In 1950, Lucy helped organize the first National Women's Rights Convention. Women and men gathered together to name the unfairness they saw on the images, imagined something better. Lucy later married a man named Henry Blackwell, who shared her belief in equality. His sister, Elizabeth Blackwell, would go on to become the first woman doctor in the United States. Lucy even kept her own name after marriage, a bold choice at the time when women were expected to disappear in their husband's identity. During the Civil War, Lucy continued paying attention to injustice. She worked with others to try to end slavery forever. After the war, she helped form groups that worked for voting rights for everyone, no matter their race or gender. When some activists decided to focus on only one group at a time, Lucy stayed committed to the idea that justice should include everyone. Later in her life, Lucy helped start a newspaper called the Women's Journal. Through its pages, she continued to speak up, organize, and remind people to pay attention to inequality wherever it appeared. Lucy Stone lived her entire life believing that noticing unfairness and refusing to ignore it was powerful. And because she paid attention, generations after her gained rights and opportunities she could only dream of. What I love about this story is how it reminds us that noticing inequality in the first steps towards changing it, and that one person's attention and courage can help open doors for many. Lucy Stone paid attention to the unfair rules of her time, rules that said women should be silent, powerless, and unequal. Instead of accepting those rules, she spoke up, organized others, and worked for her whole life for equality. Good job, you guys. Now, if you guys would make the love arch, the children can head back.
Wherever you go,
Go in love. Wherever you go in peace. Wherever you go in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you. Wherever you go in love. Wherever you go in peace. Wherever you go in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
Spencer Warden.
Morning, everyone. Ooh, that's nice. Does that happen every time? I'm here to share a little bit about a story. And the story that I want to tell has a couple different threads, so if you'll bear with me, I think it'll come together in the end. I think some of you have seen my daughter Lilith, little, 3 years old. She runs up and down and really is full of life and energy. And a couple months ago, when we came to service, on the way home, we were talking about what it felt like to be there. And she asked me what the word welcome meant, because she'd heard it said. Several times she heard Reverend Monica say, "You're welcome." She said, "Dad, am I welcome? What's welcome?" And we talked about it, and she learned and connected that welcome was kind of like love, that I would tell her that she's always loved no matter what, and she's welcome no matter what. She has that. 3 years old, she has that. And so easy and beautiful to see. I had that too at one point, when I was her age, I'm sure. And then things changed. I think as happens for a lot of us, sometime around those preteen years. I can remember specifically, I was going to middle school, Alder Creek Middle School, and I caught the bus every day, standing out there in the dark. And the middle school had a new crowd. I made friends really quickly with Sean Lauterbach, who stood at the bus stop with me. And we'd get on the bus and we learned that we had a common interest. the two of us really enjoyed this weird, quirky little online kids cartoon called Homestar Runner. Woo! And we would do what those little 12, 13-year-old kids, what we wanted to do, which was sit there on the bus in the little bench seats together, and we would recite our favorite parts of the cartoons. We'd see, talk about the latest episode, and we'd go through them complete with the voices. We were just imitating it all the way from Rothy Road in Milwaukee to Alder Creek Middle School. And we were having so much fun. We didn't know any better. That was exactly what we did, because that's what you do when you have fun. Until one day, I don't remember the kid's face. I don't remember the moment exactly. What I remember are his words. He saw us coming off the bus and he said, hey, why do you guys do that all the time? You're sitting there. You're making all these voices. What's going on? Are you gay? And it wasn't the meaning of the word itself. That wasn't what mattered. What I heard was the scorn, the message that I didn't belong. And it cut me. And almost immediately in that moment, I saw that one part of me was not acceptable, not okay, and I cut it off. I didn't want to feel that ever again. And I don't think that Sean and I ever recited Homestar Runner cartoons on the bus ever again. We found other things to talk about. We listened to Linkin Park, and that took its own path. But that was maybe not the first, and certainly not the last time that I learned that if I wanted to belong, it seemed like I had to have only the right parts of myself come out. In high school, as that progression of severing parts of myself continued, I found refuge in the place where all wayward, flamboyant kids find refuge, the theater department. The Rex Putnam High School theater teacher was a wonderful man named Steve Quinn. Quinn's regular attire was Hawaiian shirt, blue jeans, and flip-flops. And Quinn led the department with a very strong message. His idea was we were going to strive for more than just reciting words. Our job as actors was not to get up and pose and say funny voices, but to actually be authentic. He cited the words of his mentor, Sanford Meisner, when he said, acting is doing. He wanted us to be real on stage. And that came out in one particular moment. See, being real on stage is kind of scary because you have to actually relate to people. Like, you're being a character, but you have to actually trust that there's something more than the words that are printed. We were producing Heinrich Ibsen's A Dollhouse, and we were on night 3, so we'd been open and running. And in the first act, of A Dollhouse, there are a lot of knocks on the door. So many people coming in and out. It's a very talky drama. And we were following along from the backstage, going out on our parts and reading the script. And all of a sudden, sitting in there in the green room with the lights covered with that blue gel, we realized there'd been a knock on the door. The constable had come in. And the constable had skipped several pages. The constable was supposed to come in at one point and say these lines, and then he'd come in at the second point and say these lines, and he had missed the first part. And this is a drama. This is a heady drama about women's rights, and every word is important. We were panicking. But what were we going to do? I mean, you can't just go out there and hold up a red sign and say, stop, let's rewind, let's try again. It wasn't working. And so we did the only thing we could do. We took Quinn's advice, and we were alive. We went out on stage. We said the words. but we connected to each other. We trusted in the thing that we were making together. And then we went backstage and sweat bullets and cursed because who knew how this was going to turn out? And how did it turn out? Well, at intermission, Beth Russell, everyone's favorite substitute teacher and a big fan of the theater department, who had been there all 3 nights so far, we all kind of sidled up to Beth and we said, "Beth, how's it going?" She said, "Good, good. Seems a little short." But that was it. We had gotten away with it. Somehow, despite all of our panic about not doing it right, in that chaos, coming together had allowed us to proceed and make something pretty beautiful. I graduated from high school. I went to college at Whitman College, and I remember by the end of high school, I'd been cutting off so many parts of myself. Despite the beautiful experiences I'd had in the affirming theater department, I'd been cutting off so many pieces of myself that I was desperate to just get out and maybe breathe some fresh air. And there's one moment that I remember. First couple weeks, I was at the freshman year dining hall, eating a plate of mediocre spaghetti. And up until this point, I'd noticed, hanging around the high school kids that I grew up with, I would start talking with them, I'd get excited and passionate about the things that made me light up, and I'd see something coming. It's like I was coming towards a cliff. I knew that if I just went a little bit further, that's where I'd hear the kid's voice again. "What's wrong with you?" I'd watch their eyes dim as they looked away. I'd get disinterested. There was something I was going to run into being too much, too little, not enough, not right. And we were at the dining hall eating our mediocre spaghetti and talking about the Bhagavad Gita, the first reading from our Common Core as freshmen. And I could see it coming. I was talking about things that excited me. I was getting passionate. Ooh, I had all these ideas buzzing in my head, and I knew that if I just kept talking, I was going to be too much. I was going to be too much. They would turn away from me, and there I would be once again, cutting off another part of myself. And I kept talking. And the weirdest thing happened. They kept talking with me too. I could share the weird and vibrant thoughts that lit me up. I could be fully me and share these things that I thought there was no place for them, and people would stay with me and engage with me. I don't remember what I was saying, but I remember that in that moment, I felt home again. And it was like these parts that I had started to sever were beginning to grow back. I was able to see that cliff coming and trust that I could steer through it, in part because I think I had experienced that beautiful chaos that night in that production of The Doll's House. There's this idea in leftist anarchist thought that we are all that we have. We are all that we have. And when I was younger, that might have felt really lonely because all I could see was the cruelty that made me want to withdraw. But in that moment of co-creation on stage, I learned that that can also be empowering and safe. We are all that we have. We create a safe, welcome community by being authentic to our gifts, just like we were on stage. And those communities teach us, as they taught me, to recognize our gifts. As I wrap up, as some of you know, we host family potlucks at my house once or twice every month, and those potlucks are chaotic. We have children screaming, There are never enough chairs. The dishes stack up in the kitchen because I can never remember to run the dishwasher beforehand. One of these days I'll get it. And I really want to invite all of you to one of those potlucks. I can't. My house is way too small, but I would love if I could. And here's why. In this season of giving, in this pledge month, right, I've been reflecting on how transformative it was for me to realize that I had something to give. I had something to give. I want to invite all of us to find those cast off parts of yourself. There are gifts in there. I want to invite you to recognize them and share them. And I hope that we can all, here at UUCS, take part in the beautiful chaos of making and belonging in community. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Being authentic in a moment when you don't know what to do next really makes it. We have another slide here. Some have asked, well, how much should I pledge? And if you haven't been pledging for a while, this is a graph that will show you what this congregation did last year. It's 4 quartiles of equal amounts for the 2025-26 year. And the average in the first quartile was 840. And the next quartile, it was 3,000, and the next quartile. And you can see the numbers of pledgers or pledging units, if it's a family, varies in each of the quartiles. But 25% came from 94 people who gave an average of 840, 25% from 30 people who gave an average of 2560, 25 from 15 people who gave an average of 5,070, and 25% who gave an average, 7 people who gave an average of 10,000. Those people obviously are affluent. They're doing well in their lives. Everybody is not expected to be able to do that. I remember my wife and I, when we first started out, were living on $25 a week, and that covered gas and food. So I've been there. I know it's tough. But I hope that's useful to you. It demonstrates there's not only a wide range in amount of support, but that all of the support matters. That's the main message here. A lot of people giving less is equal to a few people giving more in total quantity. That's all I wanted to share.
I did this too. I came running up. All right, I'm Barbara. I'm on the stewardship team. And if that doesn't toot your horn, here's another graphic that is maybe a little more accessible. It's our taking the next step double helix stairway. So I fill it in with rainbow colors. The further along we go, and if you get close, you can see the little stick figures, various personalities running along the way. And there are a whole bunch of us down here that haven't yet taken that next step. So you're encouraged. I'm going to cut these off when we, as we get further along, and put more of them on here. So just for some hard numbers, if you'd like to know, 63 pledges have been made so far. We're 2 weeks into our pledge drive. And that's 44% of our congregation. So we're not quite at halfway. So there are 4 turns here, and we're not quite halfway. So we've got a ways to go. And that is totaling close to $160,000. So keep it going, because we're aiming for $342,000. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Margaret Gregg, and I have a cold. I'm honored to be one of your Lifelines lay ministers. We're fellow members of the congregation who are here to help people in times of need. And you can find us by looking for our lavender stoles and badges. One of our duties is sharing the joys and sorrows of the members and friends of this congregation, because we know that sorrow shared may be lightened, even a little bit, and joy shared may be magnified. We have one joy today to share, and it's an update on Joe Bateman, who broke her leg last week. She's getting around in a wheelchair and is back at Capitol Manor, and I think she would enjoy visitors. So she's doing well, and we're grateful for that. And finally, we light one more candle for all the joys and sorrows that are in our hearts and not spoken aloud. I hope you have a good week. Thank you.
If you could take just a moment, settle back in your chair, let your body relax, and just take a listen. I want to share with you, as our centering practice, a prayer against apathy, and it's by Nicholas D'Agosto. Nature is only ever at work. Take stock of the world around you, constantly in movement, each action suited to its end. Fire, with its ferocity and veracity, devours, ignites, it roars its presence and illumes the front. From it, people recoil. It singes and it scars, but it also clears space. Some of us must act like fire. Water, with its elegant, erosive powers, steady is the flow of its work. With direction, sustainability, a river is what nourishes and carves, not a typhoon which destroys indiscriminately, recedes, and leaves the people in drought. Some of us must act like water. Earth, with its food to eat and generative soil, its many forms of living companions to comfort us in times of solitude, of loss. Earth rejuvenates and holds us. Some of us must act like earth. Air, so integral to all of us, we must remind ourselves to notice our breath. Not one of us lives without it. Not one of us is untouched by it. It cannot help but give and forgive, single-minded. It knows everyone as one. Some of us must act like air. May we each model in our natures the best in nature, eternally changing, knowing only movement, and an urge to create life.
please join me in singing The Lone Wild Bird. You may remain seated. It's number 15 in the gray hymnal. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The ends of earth are in thy hand, the seas dark, deep, and far off land. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me.
And now a reading of the poem Revolutionary Love by Dana Edwards. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my faith that our collective love united can drown out the evils of empire and hate and greed. Together we create a love energy more powerful than any force of oppression. Because when two or more people are gathered side by side, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, the force of love ignites liberation. Revolutionary love calls us to know ourselves deeply, see God in the stranger, find beauty in the imperfect. Revolutionary love calls us to find the divine in dirt, the holy in the heartache, and the sacred in the scars. Revolutionary love calls us out and then back in. Revolutionary love calls us to be better and do better. Revolutionary love calls us to heal and to hold one another. Because none of us would be here if it weren't for our faith in each other.
Yesterday was my firstborn son's 50th birthday. It is hard to imagine having a child who is 50 years old. He's my blonde-haired, blue-eyed, bicentennial baby boy. Don't tell him I said that. And back in 1976, there were no gender reveals until the bottom half of a child was born. I will never forget the feeling of euphoria I had as I left the doctor's office on the day when this pregnancy was confirmed. No, you couldn't pee on a stick. You had to go to the doctor's office to find out if you were actually pregnant. I felt as if I was walking on air, and that same euphoria overtook me as this child breathed life. Bicentennial. Many of you probably remember that year. Lots of people were feeling pride back then. The war in Vietnam was finally over, and President Nixon of Watergate notoriety had resigned. The current president, Gerald Ford, who had not been elected but became president when Nixon resigned, a role that he was flung into and was trying to fill. I remember many Saturday Night Live skits about a fumbling, falling president. There was a feeling, I think, though, even in all that, of hope for the future. There were big celebrations planned all across the country. There was even a sense of patriotism. Now, most of the big celebrations happened on the East Coast, but we still had some celebrations over on this side of the country, and we went to the big fireworks display out of Fort Vancouver on July 4th. We watched from the Oregon side, and then it took us 3 hours to get from North Portland to Southeast Portland. I know there were lots of big festivities down here in the Salem area too. Now, this year we are recognizing another milestone in U.S. history, 250 years. What a difference 50 years makes. We are a sharply divided nation. We have another Republican in the White House, but I have a hard time recognizing that presidency. I'm sorry if you disagree, but that's where my heart is. And we have a deeper understanding of our history, the history of this nation, and it's not always positive, is it? I'm sure there are festivities and jubilees planned. There will probably be some gigantic parade in Washington, D.C. But the focus is far different than it was 50 years ago. I don't feel that same sense of pride. I don't know about you. And I certainly don't have a sense of patriotism right now. That feeling I used to get when I heard those certain songs that made you want to stand up and sing. I need to rebel against the things I cannot control or things that I feel are wrong. Now, back in the last century, for 35 years or so following World War II, from 1945, much of Eastern Europe was controlled by the Soviet Union. Many countries were not allowed to have a separate identity, and in 1980, in Gdansk, Poland, the workers in the Lenin shipyard went on strike. Now, while it wasn't an easy strike, and there was violence involved, and lots of negativity, but the workers were successful. And finally, their actions led to the formation of the Solidarity movement. And this led to the eventual end of communist rule and the downfall of the Soviet Union. There were many news stories about the strike and the rise of the politicians across the world who helped various countries, once under communist control, become more independent. Russia was playing a role, and I remember reading something about the rebellions. You know, I was a young mother at the time. And it was years before Poland had true democracy with human rights, and by then the Solidarity movement had faded. But in reading and hearing about these happenings, I remember a thought or a line that sounded so foreign at the time. In the recent, mostly year-long events we've been witnessing in this country, this one line has been in the back of my mind, especially as I navigate my own spirituality. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it went something like, in a country where the government is atheist, the rebel goes to church. I was reminded of that recently. We in the United States are in the midst of political and social turmoil, not because of rebels or anarchists or the radical liberal left, as those who hold high office would like us to believe. We're in the midst of this turmoil because those who hold high office want us to be distracted from the roles they're playing in the creation of this turmoil. In recent history, we've witnessed the effects of peaceful resistance, although not always without violence. I'm thinking of the civil rights movement, and I'm thinking of the gay rights movement. These things did not bring immediate change. Oh, no, it took years and marches and clashes and deaths before even small, tiny steps were taken by those in power. And we're still taking those steps today. And today, those in power are trying to erase even the modest gains achieved by the civil rights and gay rights movements. If we want to preserve the social progress won by our ancestors, we too need to become rebels. They confronted the violence, marching against discrimination at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, whose anniversary was yesterday. They met violence protesting against gay discrimination at the Stonewall Inn. We need to become rebels. Rebels stand together in defiant ways. John Beckett is a Druid, an author, and a Unitarian Universalist at the Denton, Texas UU Fellowship. He often leads their CUPS chapter, and he speaks regularly from the pulpit. He's published many books, leads seminars across the country, and he helps to keep the pagan community informed. He has a keen understanding of the political environment, especially in Texas, and he recently published a piece about politics. His article was titled, "The Rebel Celebrates the Spring Equinox," and I want to share some of his ideas with you. John wrote that in a country where the government promotes the worship of one God, the rebel worships many gods. Now, I'm not trying to say that you all must become polytheistic. This is a take on that line I said earlier about going to church. I think being here in this congregation, whether you are atheist, agnostic, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, or adhere to any spirituality, being here is the act of a rebel. Currently, there are many places in this nation where the one religion is the recognized religion. In Oklahoma, the law mandates teaching the Bible in public schools. In Louisiana, the law mandates posting the 10 Commandments in schools and public places. In North Dakota last year, Republicans proposed a bill to acknowledge the kingship of Jesus Christ. The bill was defeated, but over a third of legislators voted for it. Christian nationalism is a growing threat to religious and personal liberty everywhere in this country. Meanwhile, as UUs and as pagans, we understand that many people worship, work for, or work with their many different spiritualities in many different ways, and that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We also recognize that some people don't worship any gods. Either way, I believe we should judge people based on how they treat others and the world at large, not by how closely their beliefs and practices match our own. Rebels honor all beliefs. When we celebrate the spring equinox, it's the balance of the natural world. It's the hope for new beginnings. It's bringing ancestral traditions that seek to bring growth and prosperity, not the singular biblical event that often marks the season. Beckett also said, in a country where the government is working to force conformity and is determined to erase diversity, the rebel celebrates diversity. Some in state and national government and some in authority say there are only two genders. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we recognize that gender is a spectrum, that some people simply aren't the gender they were assigned at birth. Others are gender fluid, gender queer, or find gender to be totally irrelevant in their lives. We have no need to force people into boxes where they don't fit. Quite the contrary, we should always celebrate their discovery and expression of who they are and what they are. We should not think the enemy to diversity and equity are just the top administrators. We should remember that even though the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it was Republican-led state legislatures that made abortion illegal. Some of those same legislatures have been trying to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges, the ruling that established marriage equity across the nation. Meanwhile, I believe most Unitarian Universalists recognize that love and commitment make the basis of any union or any marriage, and we celebrate these sacred unions in whatever form they take. Some leaders in our state and national governments are saying even the word diversity must be avoided. As UUs, we know that our communities are stronger when we include different people with different perspectives and different skills, and we celebrate life in all its many beautiful forms. If we're going to be rebels, then we need to celebrate diversity, equity, and justice. The spring equinox is about balance and equality in nature, about how we return to the center. When we celebrate the vernal equinox, we are celebrating beginnings just as much as the autumnal equinox celebrates endings. Another point Beckett makes is that in this country, where the government exploits nature, the rebel reveres nature. Now, ours is a relatively new nation. Although 250 years may not sound young to most people, those of you who are history buffs know what I'm talking about. This country has no stone circles, no ancient temples, no medieval cathedrals. The religious architectures in this country are less than 300 to 400 years old, and most are significantly less. There are places where ancient people revered and honored nature with ceremony and dance that was quashed by European conquerors. Their sacred places were demolished and often obliterated, and their cultures and societies were outlawed. What this nation does have are some of the most beautiful and spectacular natural sights in the world. Yosemite, Yellowstone, the Rocky Mountains, the Redwoods, Acadia, Denali, Crater Lake, dozens of others. Our national parks are treasures to be enjoyed and respected, and above all, preserved for future generations. The same is true of our designated state parks and sites. Firing park rangers and support staff is bad enough. We know the administration and many in the Republican Party would love to privatize the parks so they can develop them. Drill, baby, drill. Values only money. And while this country has never taken climate change seriously, ignoring it is now public policy. We, as UUs and pagans, understand that we are a part of nature. We honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it, not at its head, not at its center, but one part of it connected to all the other parts. And we honor the trees in our backyards, the mountains, the oceans that inspire and amaze us, the countless species with whom we share this planet. We have gardens, and we try to honor the first peoples, those who were here before any Europeans even thought about new lands. Rebels go out into nature and honor it. The spring equinox is a natural phenomenon. It happened long before humans were here to notice it, and it'll happen long after we're gone. We continue the tradition of observing it and celebrating it. And Beckett wrote, in a country where the government builds walls, the rebel practices hospitality. While we once invited the huddled masses yearning to breathe free, we often struggle to embrace them. Over the 500 plus years Europeans have been in this country, we have discriminated from many people from many countries. The Irish, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Puerto Ricans, the Somalians, the Hmong, and of course, those from every part of Central and South America. With more and more people who may look and sound different than those who established this nation or who hold the power right now, the backlash has become harsh. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all people. In ancient times, Zeus and Odin were known to disguise themselves as lowly travelers and to test the hospitality of their people. Those who were virtuous were rewarded. Those who were not received a very different reward. As UUs, we should and typically do hold hospitality to all as one of our greatest virtues. Now, we can debate the limits of hospitality, and immigration is a complicated issue, but we can recognize that the refusal to provide basic hospitality to those in need is tantamount to saying, I don't care if you live or die. When we gather to celebrate the spring equinox, we welcome all who come in love and friendship. If they don't believe the same things about the equinox as we do, that's okay. What matters is that they want to be part of our community, accepting our hospitality and practicing reciprocity in return. Now, John Beckett was writing this directed at the pagan community. He was encouraging us as pagans to focus on celebrating the equinox. He said, celebrating the spring equinox reminds us that we are pagans and we will remain pagans. We don't celebrate the spring equinox because we want to be rebels. We are rebels because we celebrate the spring equinox. This can apply to all of us as well. The phenomenon we call the spring equinox has been recognized for eons. Our ancient ancestors, who were considered the wise ones in a community or their respective society, often used such events to predict the future and thereby astonished the common people. We know there are many ancient sites around the world that align with the equinoxes and the solstices, and at the same time, we don't know how or if our ancient ancestors actually celebrated that phenomena. We know in some parts of the world, different societies have or had traditional celebrations at this time of the year, just as they had for other seasonal celebrations. We celebrate the spring equinox now because it's part of the Wheel of the Year, which is a 20th century invention. And we know that this recognition and celebration helps us align ourselves and our lives with the rhythms and the cycles of nature. We may call it Ostara, which is another 20th century invention. Or we may call it something else, but whatever we call it, it is our notice that for the next 6 months, the days are going to be a little longer than the night. It's a time when the temperatures start to warm, the trees are greening, and the farmers are planting their crops, at least in this northern hemisphere. Celebrating the season is an important part of our earth-based and nature-based spiritualities, and it's an important part of Unitarian Universalists. Most of those who do this may be called pagans, and whether the government supports it, opposes it, or ignores it, it's what we do. And when we do, we reaffirm our support for hospitality, for reciprocity, the diversity of life, the multiplicity of spiritualities, and the sacredness of nature. We become rebels. Now, the spring equinox this year happens on Friday, March 20th at 7:46 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You might want to write that down if you're interested. Most pagans believe that any celebration around the Wheel of the Year can occur 3 days before and 3 days after the actual event and still have great spiritual effect. I don't know who made that rule, but it's often part of group dynamics. As March 20th approaches, if you should remember, perhaps take a moment of your day. Breathe in, breathe out, and look for some balance in your life, in your day. Feel the equalness of light and dark. Hope for growth in the coming season. Be grounded and be a rebel. Because right now, we need the rebel in all of us to bring that sense of balance back to this nation and this world. Be a rebel and come to church.
Thanks, Arrhiannon. I will. I had an operation in my eyes. I have 20/20 in the distance, but I can't see up close. Our gifts support the various ministries of this congregation. We also assist the charitable work of the Salem community by giving non-perishable food or money to the Marion Polk Food Share. The little red wagon, I think, is going to be coming in shortly. Your food gifts are collected in this wagon. Also, each month, a portion of our gifts goes to another charity or program. And this month, we share the plate with our partner congregation, the Unitarian Church of Szymon-Falva, Transylvania. And in a moment or two, baskets will be passed for those wishing to donate by check or cash to these ministries. Checks should be made payable to UUCS. Offerings can also be made at the Donate tab on the UUC website, uusalem.org. Thank you very much for your support.
I am looking for shelter and a friend. We can build a beginning, but I do not know the end. I am scared of breaking when I bend. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. There are prayers I don't know how to say, but I still find solace when I close my eyes to pray what I've lost and what I hope can stay. I will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. I am full and I am running out. I am flooding river and I'm living with a drought. I am firm conviction and my heart is full of doubt. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage, whom the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. There are people I have never met. There is something special and I haven't found it yet. There's abundance given freely, taken with no debt. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way.
Thank you, Barbara. Now, would you please join me in saying the words for giving thanks? They are printed in your order of service and projected on the wall. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our many gifts, including these offerings. Arrhiannon and I will now extinguish the chalices, marking the end of worship today, but transfer their flame to the social justice lantern, symbolizing our intent to use the values we share in meeting the needs of the world. Yeah. Thank you. Now, at the back of your service bulletin is a list of activities taking place at UUCS. I will not read through that, but there is one mistake I have to draw to your attention. The humanist group meeting, which was scheduled for today originally, is not meeting today, but next Sunday at from noon to 1 p.m. The pledge drive, as you know, is continuing. If you haven't pledged yet, you can do so by seeing Ben and me at the pledge table to the right as you enter the fellowship hall after service. You can also pledge online at the Make a Pledge page on the UUCS website. Those are your search terms, Make a Pledge. The St. Patrick's Day dinner is Saturday, March 21. If you haven't done so, buy your tickets from Joel Martin, seated right over there. Wave your hand, Joel. Yeah. At the table in the fellowship hall or online, and here our search term is a long one. The brisket is the brine for St. Patrick's Day dinner. Just search St. Patrick's Day dinner and you'll find it online. There are only 100 tickets, so you better hurry and get your tickets purchased or you'll find yourself without one. I've been there before. The food is delicious and we'll have a good time together. And now our closing hymn.
And I just want to add one announcement. There's also, as part of our pledge drive, another dance card event in the fellowship hall, decorating stones. So get your coffee and go over to the stone table to the west. And as you see that, we need egg stuffers. That's all I know about that. What about it?
Yeah, the coloring of Easter.
Easter's coming. I think most of us know.
Yeah,
yes.
just read the...
See Molly, perhaps, about that. Yeah. Okay.
And
now,
the coloring stones table is going to be in the fellowship hall, too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's do our closing hymn. It's number 1008 in the teal hymnal, or the words will be up on the wall. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. Our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. A holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Would you join me now in saying our closing words, which are printed in your order of service? You may choose to join hands with those near you, or touch elbows, or simply gesture to one another, whatever you feel right. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now
and in all the days to come. Blessed be. Blessed. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you.